welcome back for another deep dive.
Glad to be here.
Last time we were talking about all the human factors involved in roadwork safety.
Yeah,
Like, remember those crazy statistics about the types of people who are actually more likely to be in accidents?
absolutely. It's surprising you think experience would equal safety,
Yeah, you would think,
which is
but
always the case.
not necessarily.
Yeah.
Well, today we're going even deeper and looking at part 3 of our source material,
Okay.
specifically Table 2.2, which breaks down common risks at these work sites.
Sounds good.
I think it's interesting because like this table doesn't just list out risks. It actually gives us a roadmap of, cause and effect.
Yeah, I mean, you can actually see how certain actions or situations lead to these dangers
Right.
and then the potential consequences that follow.
Oh, so it's like a domino effect
Exactly.
and one thing leads to another.
One thing leads to another, and understanding that is key to preventing those accidents.
Gotcha. So let's kind of walk through this table a little bit. One of the first things that jumped out at me was uh, penetration of the work site by a vehicle.
Yeah.
Sounds pretty intense. Is
Yeah.
that like cars accidentally driving into a construction zone?
It is, and the causes listed here are really interesting. It's not always just drivers being reckless or, you know,
Right.
not paying attention. Sometimes it's inadequate traffic control.
I see.
Like, think of confusing signs or poorly placed barriers, or, you're driving down the highway, you've got a lot on your mind, and then suddenly there's a lane closure.
Oh, yeah.
And you have to make a decision really quickly in that moment.
Right.
Even a seasoned driver can make a mistake.
Oh, absolutely. So it's like a combination of human error, but then also the environment itself
Exactly.
and the consequences. I mean, those can be pretty serious, right?
Oh, absolutely. I mean, injuries to workers, damage to vehicles and equipment,
Wow.
potential lawsuits, it can create a huge ripple effect.
Yeah.
I mean, disrupt traffic flow for hours, cost businesses time and money.
It makes you realize how important it is to really pay attention, even if you're just passing through a work zone.
For sure.
Speaking of on paying attention, um, the table also mentions risks related to construction and delivery vehicles,
Oh,
like maneuvering on site.
yeah.
I know I've had a few close calls with those guys. I mean,
It's a tough situation to be in. You've got these large vehicles operating in an environment that's constantly changing,
right.
often with limited visibility.
Yeah.
So you have workers on foot who might not be easily seen by the drivers,
Uh-huh.
and the drivers themselves, they have to navigate around all these obstacles and equipment.
Oh, it's a lot to think about.
It's a high-pressure situation, and any lapse in communication or awareness can have serious consequences.
And that makes me think about what the source was talking about with vulnerable road users.
Right?
It specifically calls out pedestrians and cyclists.
Yeah,
Why are they at an even greater risk in these situations?
because they just have less protection. I mean, imagine you're walking or cycling near a construction site where sidewalks are closed or bike lanes are blocked. You're forced to share the road with these vehicles, often in really tight spaces with limited visibility.
Right.
It's a recipe for disaster, especially if drivers aren't expecting them or aren't paying attention.
That's a good point. And it's like the source says, failure to navigate through the work site is a risk for everyone,
Yeah,
but it's even more magnified for those pedestrians and cyclists.
definite.
And, it's not always just about being careful. Sometimes, you've got poor lighting or confusing detours that just make it genuinely difficult to navigate the area safely.
Yeah, and that's why it's so crucial for these work zones to be designed with those vulnerable road users in mind.
Okay.
Clear signage, dedicated pathways, adequate lighting can make a huge difference.
I bet.
But also, drivers just need to be extra cautious and aware of their surroundings.
Right. So it's a shared responsibility then.
It is.
So we've got all these risks laid out.
Yeah.
How do we even begin to tackle them?
Well, the table mentions assessing risk based on likelihood and consequence.
Okay. What does that mean exactly?
So it's about prioritizing safety measures because not all risks are created equal.
Okay.
Some are more likely to occur than others, and some have more severe consequences.
Oh, okay. I see.
For example, a worker dropping a tool might cause a minor injury,
Right.
while a driver speeding through a closed lane could result in a fatal accident.
Oh, wow. Yeah. Okay. So we need to really focus on preventing the risks that are both highly likely and potentially catastrophic.
Exactly. By understanding both the likelihood and the consequence of each risk, we can allocate resources better and implement safety measures where they'll have the biggest impact.
That makes a lot of sense. It's not just about reacting to accidents after they happen, but being proactive about it. Exactly. Identifying those risks and then figuring out how to mitigate them.
That's the key.
So what would you say is the main takeaway for our listeners today?
I think the key takeaway is awareness.
Okay.
Road work might be temporary, but safety is an ongoing commitment. Whether you're a worker on site, a driver passing through a pedestrian, or a cyclist, navigating the area, understanding these risks can empower you to make safer choices.
That's a really good point.
Yeah,
Well, hey, thanks for joining us for this deep dive into roadwork safety.
my pleasure.